Hey, what's up, guys? This is MJ100K. Today we're going to do a little case study of check engine light P219B for the 2019 Ram Promaster. I don't know why they have car. It's actually a van. It's actually a van, obviously. Anyway, I stated in the previous video, my check engine light did come on with P219B. So, since my vehicle was under warranty still, I went and took it to the dealership. Now, my brother was being a little smarty pants, and he was saying, "Oh, why don't you fix it yourself? You're a mechanic, right? Former mechanic." Anyway, I'm going to go over why I didn't fix it myself. Number one, it's in warranty, and I'm let somebody else do it. But let's get into the real reason. Anyway, P219B. P is for powertrain. 2, it means it's an OEM specific code, meaning FCA or Chrysler made up this code. It's not a universal code. And then the 19, it means air fuel ratio, cylinder imbalance, bank 2. So B is for bank 2. I believe A would be bank 1. Anyway, this happened at about 49,000 miles. One cylinder is out of balance, 15% output difference. Anyway, so bank 1, here's the engine. Bank 2 is going to be closer to the front of the vehicle. Bank 1 is going to be further away. Cylinder 1 is going to be where bank 1 is. There's the transmission here. Front of the vehicle. Anyway, what are potential things that could be causing one cylinder to be out of balance? This is a pretty vague code, so it's not going to be really cut and dry. It's going to be a lot of things that you would have to test. Could be mechanical valves, valve springs, piston rings, fuel injector, spark plug, coil pack, anything that's just specific to one cylinder. I mean, it could be a head gasket leak at one cylinder, who knows? Anyway, these are a lot of things that you might think to check if you were, like, let's say a dealer or a mechanic that is not at the dealership, right? But hold your horses, because the vehicle is still under warranty, so you should take it to the dealership, and here is why. Okay, could I fix it? Should I fix it? Let's find out. So anyway, this is what happens at the dealership. The technician, I'm going to give it to the guy. He's going to give it to the technician. First thing he's going to do, well, he may check for technical service bulletins. The service writer might look those up for him. Or internal bulletins that we don't have access to. He could also call the dealership technical service hotline in case he couldn't figure it out. But one of the first things he'll probably do is to hook up the dealership scan tool, verify the concern. So we hook up the dealership scan tool. The scan tool is going to check and see which calibration is in the ECU or the PCM, whatever they call it, for that manufacturer, which is basically the engine's main computer. Anyway, what most likely happened is the scan tool told the technician, "Hey, there's a calibration available. Do you want to download it?" And then he probably put yes, and then he'll download the new calibration. What's going to happen is he's going to get the new calibration in. It'll have like a little thing on the screen say, "Yeah, calibration's updated." And then he's going to take it for a test drive. Nice long distance. I know he did this because I saw my van leaving as I was arriving to come and look at it to make sure everything was all right. So I saw him leaving, so I said, good, he's probably taking it on the test drive, and he didn't come back for like 30-40 minutes, which is perfect. Take it on a nice long test drive, and then he's going to hook up his scan tool again, or usually it's like a laptop, and checks to see if the code came back. If code doesn't come back, return the vehicle to the customer, no charge. As you can see, there was no charge for that. I requested this trans flush, but we'll talk about that why later. So anyway, that's what happens from the technician's point of view. And I've done that too when I was at Honda. You know, sometimes you just update the calibration and it's easy. You just push the button, update, boom. And you sit there, leave the key on, and it updates for you. So this is what I think probably happened at FCA or whatever their name is this week. Anyway, so backstage, what most likely happened, when I worked at Ford Technical Service Hotline, I was at the I would get the emails and calls from the technicians, but the other department, there was a warranty department. It's a whole bunch of engineers sitting at little cubicles monitoring warranty data trends. So anyway, somebody at some point saw a whole bunch of these codes come up on my vehicle or that type of vehicle and said, hey, there's a problem. We got to get rid of these codes. We don't want to have to buy cars back from Lemon Law, and we don't want customers unhappy. So they try to get on top of these trends for warranty. They probably assigned this code to an engineer or group of engineers. They did a deep dive to try to figure out the problem. They tested the proposal solution and tested the solution. I'm assuming all these things happen. I certainly hope they did. They reviewed it with management, and if they got it approved, then whatever they requested went into effect. In this case, the new calibration was made probably by some software engineer who just went into the template and updated something or fixed something in the code. Anyway, that is what most likely happened. What actually happened in the code, these are my guesses. I don't know for sure, but these are my guesses. They increased the threshold detection. Now, whatever they're using to detect this code, it may be a misfire counter, or it may be the graph or the crank or camshaft position sensor. Whatever it was, they increased the threshold detection. That is a guess, so that may or may not have happened. There may have been some bug in the system for misfire counter, or the way that they interpret the graphs or the data for these different sensors. They may have needed to change the fuel map or change the spark advance or the way it advances or retards, and or etc. It could be other stuff, but these are just my guesses. Anyway, if you don't know, the way the way modern cars work is there's a PCM or ECM, powertrain control module, whatever they want to call it at that company. Anyway, it's the main computer. It gets inputs from the different sensors all around the engine and transmission. You got crankshaft position sensors, camshaft position sensors, oxygen sensors, NOx sensors, throttle position sensors, MAP sensors, MAF sensors, engine coolant temperature sensors, idle intake air temperature sensors, barometric pressure temperatures, or barometric pressure sensors. Oh my gosh, there's so many sensors. There's sensors everywhere, but there's a limited amount, and those sensors send data to the ECM, or PCM, whatever you want to call it, and then that ECM or PCM decides when the coil packs fire, when the spark happens, the different fuel trims, or how often the fuel injector fires and for how long. And it could also decide to turn on the check engine light, which we talked about with the different thresholds. If you get above the threshold, they'll turn the light on. Anyway, so the new cal. Did it work in my vehicle? Well, it's been working. I got the code at about 49,000 miles and driven it to 51,000. That's almost 2,000 miles since I got the update. And so far, yes, the code has worked because I just checked it. I'll show you a little video of that. And the code has not returned. So that's good. This is just an opinion part, right? Is increasing a threshold fair? Like, is it the right thing to do? Well, maybe. It depends on the situation. In my opinion, as long as it doesn't increase emissions, or as long as it doesn't cause any internal wear or anything, like, as long as it's not masking a problem that's going to show up again later, then yeah, I think it's okay. If there was just a bug in the original software, maybe a rounding error or something like that, then yeah, obviously a new cal to correct that bug is okay. So we don't know what happened with ours, but these are just a thought experiment. If they just, like I said, if they just increase it to get you out of warranty, then that is not good, and that is just a sad face. But only time will tell. We don't know right now. I don't know right now what happened. But all I could tell is I'm driving, and the code hasn't returned yet. So that's good so far. We're going to keep monitoring now. Anyway, one thing we also need to remember is that not everything is in the OEM's control. Not everything is under Chrysler or FCA or Toyota or Honda or Chevy or whoever. It's not everything's in your control. Number one thing that they don't have control of is the actual gasoline itself. Now, when they test these vehicles, they're testing them under the assumption that the gasoline is good. That the gasoline that they say is going to be 97 octane is 97 octane, but we don't really know that always happens. So maybe the octane could, there's going to be a threshold or a tolerance in the gasoline itself just because it says 87. Maybe it went up a little bit. Maybe it went down a little bit. Maybe there are some contaminants in the actual gasoline itself. We don't know. And sometimes, they test it with good gasoline. If they're seeing that, right now, maybe a lot of gasoline is coming out a little bit lower octane, then maybe that's why they increased the threshold because, they can't control that. And, emissions might not even go up that much anyway. But anyway, that's what we don't know. I will tell you a story real quick of when I was at Cummins, and the EPA came to us and they said, well, look, this DEF fluid, the diesel emission fluid, sometimes it's out of the threshold of what the concentrations of the different chemicals should be. And we want to see if you will still meet emissions, even though that the thing is out, the DEF fluid is out of spec, it's a little bit under. So again, we know because we tested, we assume that it's going to be good, right? But you can't control everything. So anyway, sometimes you have to test things and update calibrations, and sometimes you don't. But anyway, for my side, I'm just going to try to go to better gas stations. I was just going to any gas station for a while, like any old hole-in-the-wall gas station. But now I'm going to try to go to better gas stations, not drive around on E, and hope for the best. Sometimes when you're on YouTube and you see some guys, their mechanics, they'd be like, they just update the calibration and they didn't fix anything and it came right back. That could be happening, right? But just because that has happened in the past, that is not evidence that is what's happening right now. That is only evidence that could be happening right now. But for each situation, I believe you should look at the data and try to figure out what is happening with that situation. And you can say, okay, in the past that has happened, so that could be an option, right? But we don't know for sure. So we're going to look at the data and let the data drive the opinions, okay? Good, bad, we don't know. We will find out. But for now, I am happy. Miss Piggy is driving just as happy as she's ever been, and we will continue to put miles on her. I will update you with different repairs that Miss Piggy needs in case you're thinking about getting a Promaster, and in case you ever want to see case studies like this again. Anyway, a little bit of inside baseball for you for the way things work. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good one.